evening, sport fans! What's going on, y'all? Thank you all for tuning in to yet another edition of the Sports Couples Perspective, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. This is me, your boy Larry B, chowing on in tonight, accompanied by the beautiful Cecilia. How's it going, babe?
Hello.
And we are here to get you ready for one of the biggest days in racing, the Daytona 500. Just a few weeks ago, Daytona usually always kicks off, well, it does kick off, with, of course, the Rolex 24. Awesome race in IMSA sports car. But, of course, the very next month, we have one of the crown jewels of racing, the Daytona 500. We're going 500 miles on Sunday in the kickoff of the NASCAR season. The Sprint Cup will begin coming up this weekend, and we're going all the way into November. NASCAR did an amazing job last year of keeping the Cup races going during COVID. They really were the first ones to keep things going, to keep the sports world going, and to keep their sport going, and to really kind of get the rest of the sports world intact. I think everybody started to follow them with how they were doing their guidelines and everything. And overall, I thought it was great. Well, that ended last year with a championship. And of course, in that championship my goodness, what a great race. What a great season it was. Chase Elliott will hoist the trophy. But coming up this season, it all starts over on Sunday. And well, here we go yet again. A whole season of racing and a whole new Cup series. I'm excited. But of course, tonight, we will be talking a whole bunch of NASCAR. We're going to recap that Super Bowl first. We're talking a whole bunch of NASCAR. And really, what is it? Some people think it's one thing, and some people think it's another. So, well, that's the response that you think you'd get from a person who's not a NASCAR fan. But I'll tell you what. Overall, y'all, NASCAR is. That's a great question. You can say that about nearly any sport. But this is a sport where, of course, an auto sport, where a lot of people will say, well, they're just driving in circles. It's all left turns. There's really nothing more to it. It's just about cars driving around, and we look forward to the wrecks because that's the only good part about it, and then that's pretty much it. Overall, from somebody who's a lifelong fan like myself, I can tell you it's much more than that, but to somebody like Cecilia here, who, hasn't necessarily been a racing fan whatsoever, growing up, I can totally see where they can see that perspective. But the cool part about it is Cecilia, once again, wasn't even really hardly even whatsoever a sports fan until we even started doing this show, which is awesome. That was a great concept of the show, is just, kind of for those who don't know it, to kind of just learn along with Cecilia and to, get her take on somebody who's not that diehard like myself. So really, really cool deal with the show here. And tonight will be a really good example of that. We just finished up football. We had 5 episodes already. This is episode number 6 tonight. We finished up tons of action, of course, in the last month of January, and we went all in with football. We covered 5 football movies. Well, recapped 5 football movies, covered 5 weeks of football, and just got really into it. And, of course, we're branching into other sports. And what's coming up this weekend on Valentine's Day, as a matter of fact, it is the Daytona 500. NASCAR's, one of NASCAR's crown jewels, if not the crown jewel of NASCAR. And I'll tell you, this is the big one. They always say this is like the Super Bowl of NASCAR, and it is. And it's kind of funny because Super Bowl is usually at the end of the season, but, Super Bowl actually starts it off in NASCAR, which is pretty crazy. So, overall, it is a great race and a pretty great sport, at least to my opinion. Now, When we open it up in a few minutes here, I just gotta say that overall, it couldn't be really what you want it to be. It's like any sport. Either you're gonna like it, you're gonna not like it, you might hate it, whatever it may be. But overall, we'll talk about that tonight and see, my perspective of the sport, see Cecilia's perspective of the sport. And we invite you to jump in the chat room and give us your perspective and what you think, and maybe we can change your mind to think one or the other. Hopefully to like it, but we will see ya. So with that said, overall, babe, what you think? We got NASCAR coming up here. As somebody who hasn't really ever followed the sport whatsoever, what do you think about NASCAR, babe?
I think it's pretty interesting to a certain extent. It's not really my thing, but I give props who do it.
And that is well said, because at least she respects it. When we talked about it earlier today, it was kind of funny, because we just kind of it's been a crazy week, y'all. It has been a crazy week, schooling and the whole bit. But I gotta say that today, when I just kind of dropped it on Cecilia, like, oh yeah, we're covering NASCAR, she gave me this face like, huh? Like, in a sense, not that she doesn't, not that she doesn't respect it, of course, because as you can see, she definitely does, but I just think it's funny because that's the response you'd think you'd get. That's exactly what you'd think you'd get from, somebody who, once again, just isn't really, really, really into the sport. And I feel like NASCAR is one of those sports to where you have to either be really into it or you're probably not going to be into it at all. Is that fair to say, babe?
Yeah.
So, with that said, I can tell you right now it's going to be a fun one. And we also just got finished watching 3 weeks to Daytona, and we both have our opinions of the movie. But I'll tell you right now, I think our opinions are going to be pretty much the same about it, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. Regardless, though, let's jump into the chat room real fast. Thank you, real fast. Thank you, Taryn, for jumping on in here. This is a good evening. Larry and Cecilia have an amazing show. Well, thank you, sir. By the way, thank you for passing over the mic, Taryn, with, of course, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Catch him 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern every Friday evening, and of course, you can catch before that, earlier today, who started us off, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern. You can catch, of course, the State of Ohio Sports with Andrew Hagenbaugh. So great shows here today. We're the anchor of today. We'll be closing it off. So Terrence is here in the chat room. That's why it's called the Sports Couple Perspective, or Sports Couples Perspective. So what do you think about this here, babe? Terrence says, don't worry, Cecilia. I'm not the most knowledgeable NASCAR, or I'm not the most knowledgeable at NASCAR or motorsports as well. Mm-hmm. And he says, I had to host 2 IE Sports Radio Motors events sports show. That was pretty tough, but it was super fun. And he did. Actually, Taryn jumped in last week when Daryl couldn't do the show, or 2 weeks ago, and he actually hosted the Extra Mile, and Taryn's not necessarily the most knowledgeable about motorsports, but he made it work. And that was pretty cool to hear him do the show. But, okay, so, with that said, y'all, let's go ahead and jump on in here, too, as well, to kind of just mix it together with the movie and with the sport itself. But today's movie, or this week's movie, was 3 weeks to Daytona. And overall, the movie is very simple. It's about a guy who is just kind of down on his luck. He's 45 years old, and he's just not... Things are just kind of against him, it kind of seems. Kind of poor guy, he goes into his divorce a little bit, and their son together, and the woman who, he's now with, and them kind of doing the joint custody thing, and, the boy goes with the mom on the weeks, and the dad on the weekends, or however it is, and the dad this guy, the main character, of course, just has... He's has tough luck, poor guy. He just can't seem to catch a break with money. His job is this kind of blah, doesn't really pay him a whole bunch apparently. He is getting kind of hassled. Well, he's getting hassled there a little bit just because, he's trying to make money, but it's just not really happening. It's just, it's a regular old job. And he's trying to get his car worked on, of course. As we know, those cars are not cheap. And he's trying to he's like doing like basically like the semi-pro, like what I play in football, the semi-pro version of NASCAR, gets racing at the track and trying to get a chance to go on into Daytona and to race. And long story short, the entire movie is about this one thing. The track owner, I believe, is about to get a sponsorship pulled from this furniture guy who is, the sponsor. He's the main dude with sponsorship, and the track owner was like, wait a minute, how about this? We can do something to try and save the sponsorship. Of course, the guy is expanding his business, the furniture store, so he's like, yeah, I can't really afford to do this no more. But the track owner's like, wait a minute, how about we have a race? Everybody here at this track can have like a race off, like a shootout basically, and the winner will go to Daytona. The winner, you build a car for $500,000, and we'll take that car and go to Daytona to try and qualify. Once again, it's just qualifying, guys. That's all, to try and make the race. So basically, we're going to race here, and then we're going to build a car. And it's true, guys. I don't know if it works with this anymore. This was, of course, in 2011. And remember, I was a little shocked when I came back to watching NASCAR about 5 years ago after taking like a 10-year break from not watching it. But it's crazy because there used to be 43 cars. And I didn't know this, but watching this movie, 40, and it makes perfect sense. 40 are for the teams, and then you have the 3 open, where anybody can basically, anybody can qualify if they can get in. They just let in the 3. I did not know that, but that's pretty cool. I don't know if they do it anymore, because the field is now 40, but regardless, at least in this time in NASCAR, and this was only 10 years ago, that's what happened. So they're trying to get one of those 3 spots to whoever can take the spots. That was the track owner's idea. The furniture guy, the sponsor, was like, that sounds good, deal. And then the furniture guy used it to, blow up his business and all that. So that's what happens, and the main character is just, pressed on his luck again, just couldn't do this, couldn't do that, short on money, couldn't get his car fixed. Anyway, at the end, everything all comes together for him. Everything's cool. Even his ex-wife shows up at the track with her new man, I think, and his boy, their boy and the dad's new girl are, their pit crew, basically, they're spotters, and they're just cheering him on, and wouldn't you know it, he pulls it out and gets the victory, and he's on Daytona, and his son develops this new love for cars, it seems like, and because he's already like a bookworm, so you can totally see him as an engineer. And the very last scene talks about like, oh yeah, they go to the zoo, and the son's like, yeah, and it's kind of funny. It's not funny, but the son just wanted to go to the zoo the entire time, but the dad he's somebody who's just really stuck into his sport. And unfortunately, I think that's what cost him his last marriage, because his ex-wife talked about it. And overall, at the end, you can see like this new generation starting, because even though he's already 45 years old, he's going to get a chance to go to Daytona and qualify. He may or may have not gotten in, because the movie ends there. But his son, it seems like, has this new love, like that new generation, because he's like, yeah, like, we gotta get ready for Daytona, Dad. So it's like, you can see he's already starting to feed into that with, like, mathematics, and he's already a smart kid, because he was, in the very beginning of the movie, he's studying trigonometry, guys, and reading, and didn't even watch his dad finish the race where he got wrecked in the very beginning of the race. So, anyway, guys, that's what this whole movie's about, and there it is. So, overall, that's like the plot, and that's everything. Now it's time for the opinions. So, and Taryn says here, I'm trying to learn. He's actually trying to learn motorsports, and hey, it's all good, Taryn. We appreciate you for doing your best, brother, and that's what it's all about, man. We're all trying to learn, right? So, anyway, with that said, babe, now that I kind of just try to get that out as fast as I can, unfortunately, you know me, nothing's ever tic-tac size with me, even though I try really hard. But now that I had put it all out there, give it to us, babe. In depth, what did you really think of this movie? And give us the ins and outs of your perspective now on the sport.
The movie was okay. It was too slow. But, in my opinion, I really feel like it wasn't even about racing. I mean, it was more just about the guys' struggle on how to get there, I guess. But, I mean, I know that's true, too, in real life, that people try so hard, because I know those cars are not cheap. But, the movie wasn't interesting to me. Sad to say.
And I've got to second that. Babe, don't even feel bad about your remarks, or don't feel like you're letting down the audience, because I chose this movie, guys. I was gonna choose Days of Thunder, because I'd never seen it with Tom Cruise in 1990, but it's like, it seemed a little dated, so I just figured, oh, this one would be cool, and I looked it up earlier, like, I'm trying to look like top 10 NASCAR movies on YouTube or whatever, and I saw this one, I was like, oh, cool, and I saw a trailer, I was like, oh, that seems cool. Well, it really wasn't, guys. The movie's okay, because it gives you, like, the struggle of, like, you know, an amateur driver trying really hard to make that pro circuit, or at least to try to make it Daytona, right? Like, it gives you that, right, babe?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is really slow. It's just, it's more focused on the issues of him, which I totally get it. I think that's exactly what the director was going for. But it's a low-budget movie. You can tell, of course, it wasn't out in movies or anything like that. It's on Amazon Prime. And, you know, it's just, it's okay. It's not necessarily something that scratches the itch for a NASCAR fan. Because I can tell you right now, I am a big-time NASCAR fan. I love the sport. It is awesome. I've been watching for a lot of years, since I was little. But, like Cecilia said, guys, it's really slow. And if you're like a diehard NASCAR fan, you will understand the struggle, you will get it, you will understand the movie, but there's not that much racing. You know, I think that was the main point, especially today, you know, getting into the ins and outs of racing, for today's sake of the show, and it's just not there, guys. Like, it's a struggle, but at the same time, the entire movie is more of a struggle story than it is about your right, babe?
Yeah.
So, personally, it was cool, but I'll be straight out, we won't be watching that movie ever again.
No, that was definitely a one-time scene.
Yeah. And I gotta say this, and babe, I want you to definitely give your follow-up on this, but if you're a NASCAR fan and you're interested in the movie, don't let us ruin it for you. If you really want to, like, watch it and see what it's all about and actually get the feel of what the struggle really is for a NASCAR driver who's an amateur who's trying to make the pro circuit, you know, it might be worth the watch. But if you're somebody who really just is trying to watch a good racing movie, like, you know, a movie that's involves a lot of action and racing, it's not for you.
Yeah, it goes in the opposite direction, basically, of what you're expecting.
Yeah, I'm with it. And there you go. Taryn says, to each his own, Cecilia. Not his, is. To each his own, Cecilia. No one will judge you on your opinions. And yeah,
Thank you.
Agreed. And same here, Taryn.
No, it's not like I'm against NASCAR or anything, or any kind of racing in general. It's just, like I said, I give the people credit for what they do, because I mean, that takes a lot of hard work and effort and obviously training to do, you know, just to work on the car and just to be the driver. I give everyone credit and props. It's something that I definitely could not do. It's just, that sport is just not for me.
And it's absolutely right. It's not for everybody. And I'll tell you right now, racing is a different animal. Motorsport's a completely different animal. But, you know, I gotta tell you though, once again, I mean, when it comes to the movie, Cecilia and I can definitely agree that it's either a one-time watch if you're really into the movie, if you're really into NASCAR and you want to see like that kind of struggle of like what it would be like with the teams and everything, or if you don't have a team. But overall, once again, you know, if you're a super diehard and you love a lot of action and you want a lot of racing, it's not for you. This movie doesn't make much sense to watch.
Yeah.
So, but with that said, y'all, that is coming up this weekend, though. And we're really excited for the actual Daytona 500. I mean, this is going to be a pretty good race. Last year, so heading on over now into my handy-dandy Sports Center app here, or Score Center app here, courtesy of ESPN. Awesome app it is. Taking a look here. Daytona has arrived, y'all. The duels finished on Thursday, and Almirola finished first in one, and Austin Dillon with the other, so looking pretty cool in those. Really excited for what's upcoming. in the 500 coming up on Sunday. And, well, here we go, y'all. This is going to be awesome. Looks like right now Alex Bowman has actually taken the pole, so that's exciting. He had the fastest speed with 191 miles per hour, so good job to him. Of course, I think that's just what I'm getting here from the app, because we didn't see much else. And it is basically, I mean, once again, things could be a little bit different this year because of COVID and whatnot, but that's all we really got as of right now. But the 500 is looking to get underway on Sunday, and, you know, I just hope we get a good race. It'll be 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, and it should be a good one. NASCAR is a fun one. This is a completely different animal. So, let's talk about the sport a little bit, babe. So, first things first, you're in a car, okay? You're looking at speeds close to 200 miles an hour. When you bunch together, the downforce of the cars all merge, and they're racing together in a big pack, of course. The aerodynamics will push the car a little faster. So you're looking at a restrictor plate track where these cars in a big bunch can reach over 200 miles an hour, and it's all gas, no brakes. There's only time they brake in this race is, of course, to slow down to go into the pits, because you can't go over 60 miles an hour in the pits or you get penalized. And then, of course, to come to a complete stop in the pit stall to get your tires changed, and, of course, to get some fuel. Other than that, this track is 100% gas, and there's nowhere where you brake or let off or anything. The turns are big and wide enough, and it is all straight out. Only other of its kind of a super speedway like this would be like Talladega in Alabama. Awesome track, that's my all-time favorite. And, well, that's what this track is. Daytona and Talladega are pretty similar. So, yeah, two gigantic tracks. This track is almost 3 miles long. Pretty cool. As a matter of fact, I think they do have the exact dynamics of the track here. Courtesy, once again, of the... Yeah, it is 2.5 miles travelable. That's a pretty long track. And to think how fast, okay... We're looking at cars getting around this track. We're talking within 45 to 49 seconds. 2.5 miles. Pretty fast. Mm-hmm. So, overall, this is quite a good race. Always the big one. The winner, of course, you know, gets to put their name in the record books. But isn't it crazy, Dave? When I told you earlier that the Daytona 500 is basically the Super Bowl of NASCAR, mm-hmm. What would you automatically think? Where in the season do you think that race would be?
I have no idea.
Well, like I said, if I told you that NASCAR, that this race is the Super Bowl mm-hmm. of NASCAR, the season, where do you think it would go?
You mean, like, what do you mean?
Like
the day of the week or something, or what?
Yeah, like, okay, the Super Bowl comes at what part of the season for football?
At the end of the season.
The very end. So, when I told you earlier when I told you earlier that it's actually at the very beginning, the first race of the season, what were your thoughts?
That'd be kind of weird.
That's what this race is.
Really?
Because the winner gets the name in the history books. But you know what's crazy? There's 35 more races to go after that. So the biggest race of the year is actually the very first one. You get a whole bunch of others, and they come back to Daytona in July for the Pepsi 400, or I don't know what they call it now, but for Independence Day. But it's crazy because this race is just so much bigger, so much better. And it is a around 3-hour race. You're in the car going almost 200 miles an hour for over 3 hours. It's a little different, huh? A little different than other sports.
Yeah.
Now, what if I told you that a lot of these guys actually train, work out, and actually run distance for their stamina just to stay in this race car and to stay relevant in a race?
I mean, I guess that would make sense. It would help them to stay awake, too, during the race.
It is something.
And their energy, too. I mean, I'm pretty sure their arms would get tired if they didn't strengthen them.
Exactly. And there's so much that goes into these races. Those cars are about $500,000 a piece. when they wreck, those owners aren't too happy. So it's a lot of fixing to do. Of course, every team has a couple different cars for every kind of track. Well, for different kind of track, road courses or ovals. Well, I don't even know. I mean, if they do that, I'm pretty sure they do. But regardless, it's a lot of money. It's a lot going on. And yeah, it's pretty crazy to see how well this... it's crazy to see how well it all goes on race day, you know, when you see all these cars. Hopefully the majority of them do finish, but of course we got to always look out for the big one. And the big one, well, this is always one of my favorite parts of the show here, because I get to show Cecilia something live on air. But Daytona and Talladega are known for a wreck at least once every time, called the big one. Of course, all of these cars are actually in the big pack. Once again, at 200 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. Babe, if you're in the middle, if you're the middle car, okay, right here, and there's a car to the right of you, a car to the left of you, a car in front of you, a car diagonal, one behind you, and diagonal, and you're right in the middle. And you're all going 200 miles an hour at a big pack around this thing. You're just trying to stay nice and straight. If one person gets fishtailed,
that's the end of it. They all get messed up.
So I want to show Cecilia.
Like a domino effect.
It is crazy. So from 2001, 2019, here's a compilation. We're just gonna watch one of them, babe. We'll give you the YouTube name right after here. Of course, we can find the video. But let's check out the first one, babe.
What are we going to take home today? Welcome back to Daytona. It's the big one, gang. It's the big one. It's what we've all been fearing. This kind of racing is going to happen. A horrible crash on the back straightaway that began when Tony Stewart got turned sideways against the backstretch wall number 20. Stewart was the first car sideways. Here's why. Here's the four got into the back of Ward Burton, I believe. And then Burton's 22 got into Stewart. And everybody scrambles. That car is taking a whale of a ride, that 20 car is. It's getting hit. It's upside down. It's hit on its roof. It's on fire. And Tony Stewart goes for one of the wildest rides in recent memory of Daytona. Kind of looks like the Richard Petty crash here, back when Richard crashed off turn 4 down here, standing on the snow. He's got Bobby Labonte's hood. It was hooked to the back of his car as he was in mid-air. Oh, my goodness.
Isn't that something? See all it takes. That was from 2001, by the way, when Tony Stewart got tapped in there. But I want to go try and get a little recent one, because you can just see how these cars all bunched together, okay? So let's see if we can get into this one real quick.
Caution waves with 38 laps to go. It's Dillon.
It's a little tap. That's all it took.
Mm-hmm.
Skill they have.
2014.
Got another car. Up goes Ryan Newman, Justin Allgaier, Brian Scott, Terry Labonte, gone. Cole went right at the back of the field.
So as you can see, all it really takes, and it's a simple little, you know, some of those weren't too big, but that first one with Tony Stewart getting flipped over and over and over, all it took really was just one car to get into the other car and turn sideways, and the moment that happens, you're basically talking about everybody else behind you going for a ride. And it's crazy. You know what's scary? There's a lot of driver. This is another thing. You know all that smoke that's happening? Mm-hmm. Well, what if you're right here and the wreck's happening and you're back here? Now you're going 200 miles an hour into a giant cloud where you can't see.
That would scare me.
So what do these drivers do usually? This is all happening. Here they go, and the driver gets tries to do this as low as they can, close to the wall, without hitting anybody. And unfortunately, sometimes I've seen it where a car will just literally be hit the wall, like sliding backward at 200 miles an hour, hits. I mean, it's just scary. I mean, so that's pretty scary to know. I mean, you know. So once again, that was from Racing Power 19. Once again, check out Racing Power 19. The video is called, is the YouTuber Racing Power 19. Once again, that's Racing Power 19. And the video is every big one from Daytona. Oh, sorry. Every big one from the Daytona 500 from 2001 to 2019. Go check out that video. Awesome stuff there. And thank you to Racing Power 19 once again. Go subscribe and show them some love. But I'll tell you what, guys. Racing is insane. And this 500 is something else. I mean, seriously. This Daytona 500 is without a doubt a scary race. So what do you think about that, babe? Because one car gets tapped and there goes half the field.
Yeah, that's scary. They really put their lives at risk.
There was one video, okay, this kind of used to make me mad, but I couldn't help it because I get it. But Tony Stewart had a commercial, the one who flipped. The one you saw flipping. He has a commercial. They made a commercial. I don't know if it was mimicking that, but years later, in like the 2000s, it was a commercial where it shows him, and he gets ran into the wall, and he flips, and then it zooms into the car, and it's just him. It's like in the car, and he says, "You want to know what worries me?" He's upside down the entire time. Football.
What?
You know, those guys out there could really pull something. And then out of nowhere, it goes like fast motion again. You see the car like hit on its roof, and everyone starts crashing and everything like that. I'm like, haha, very funny. But it's true. Don't get me wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love football. Okay, I'm going to defend my sport all day long. But going 200 miles an hour, and I don't care how much protection you have, that can be...
Yeah, it's still dangerous.
That's life-threatening. The late, great Dale Earnhardt Sr., back in the, I don't know if it was the 2001, I believe, or 2002, or somewhere in the early 2000s, unfortunately, though, the late, great Dale Earnhardt Sr. had a small little wreck right at the end of the race, and because he didn't want to wear the protective gear to help him around his neck in his car, it cost him his life.
Dang.
And it was a simple little wreck where it didn't even look like anything.
And they still allowed him to drive?
And he drove. And unfortunately...
See, that should not be allowed.
Yeah, I think they changed that rule. But,
well, they better have.
Yeah, but when Dale Earnhardt Sr. passed, he... It was a simple... He just went into the wall with somebody else, and they went into the wall together, and it was the last lap, I think, of the 500 in the early 2000s, and he passed.
Dang.
The Intimidator. So that was his nickname, but one of the greats to ever race, of course, in NASCAR, and unfortunately that happened. So pretty crazy, though, right? To think, I mean, this sport it's something else. So I'll tell you right now, this is one of the most dangerous sports ever. Don't get me wrong, they all are, but motorsports are very dangerous. But overall, I just want everybody to know the sincerity of this sport. And, you know, once again, it's a great sport to watch. But overall, it is very serious, and it's a lot of money is involved, of course, when these cars get wrecked. I mean, all these owners are probably cringing every time something happens, or screaming. I know that for a fact, or pretty mad. But overall, the Daytona 500 is coming up on Sunday, and it should be quite the battle. So with that said, any closing statements on this sport or the Daytona 500 coming up on Sunday?
No. Wish the drivers luck, and hopefully they stay safe and be careful while driving that super fast. And yeah.
Oh, well, with that said, I completely agree. I want all the best luck and pray that they're all healthy and they're okay and they can get through it. But with that said, y'all, we're going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to go ahead and recap that Super Bowl, and then we'll be out of here for the week, and then on to the next week. So once again, you're listening to the Sports Color Perspective right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Dave the Fried Man here to tell you about the newest IE Sports Radio show, the Kansas City Shuffle. We'll be talking football, reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, baseball, your 2015 World Series Royals, college hoops, college football, and much to Ryan's delight, hockey.
Oh, wow.
Make sure you catch up with us on Twitter at KC Shuffle Show. You can also catch up with my colleague Ryan the Pezquire at the Pezquire Fool
on Twitter.
Make sure you check us out on IE Sports Radio at 6 p.m. Central Time to 7:30.
Oh, yeah.
And Ryan, any final words for the listeners?
Yeah, come on in, enjoy the winning we've been having here in Kansas City lately, and don't be jealous. Bye-bye.
IE Sports Radio,
your direct feed for all things sports. Nope, that's not it. Cut that.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome in to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and you're listening to IE Sports Radio. If you like big, nasty hits, if you like slap talk straight to the neck, if you like it when the gloves hit the ice and the big boys get down, then this is your show on IE Sports Radio. This is the Neutral Zone. May our shots on goal always be true and straight to the net. If they are not, may they be followed up, redirected, or change collected. Let's go on IE Sports Radio with me, your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and this is the Neutral Zone.
Welcome back to the Sports Color Perspective, y'all. What is going on? How's everybody doing out there tonight? If you're just tuning in, Cecilia and I just talked about the 2500 and kind of just give you like an intro novice version of the race, if you will, and getting you ready for it, of course, on Sunday. So, with that said, put a nice little bow on that and talked about what's to come and what could be coming up this week. And, of course, we're going to close out the show tonight. Not a super long one, y'all. Of course, started a little bit late, so our apologies for that. But actually, my apologies for that. It had nothing to do with her. But, with that said, y'all, Super Bowl 55, of course. I think every freaking podcast in the world talked about it, of course, and why not, this last past week. And I will talk about this a lot more as well next week on the Turn of the Defining Moment on Monday morning. Look forward to that. But, of course, the person I got to watch the bowl with, which I am super excited for that, and it was a really, really, really good, in my opinion, good game, but we all have different opinions. I'm excited that we got to watch it together, of course. Celia and I had a little soiree, a little party, fun, nothing crazy, y'all, literally just a few guests, not a whole bunch. But, with that said, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pull this thing off, absolutely destroying the Chiefs, 31-9. Scoreless game in the fourth quarter. Just a great football game, in my opinion. Why? Because, damn, if you wanted a complete performance out of the Buccaneers, you got it. The Chiefs had 2 tackles missing. I understand those are 2 starting tackles. Tough go, but unfortunately, it's just the way the ball bounces, and it turned up going for the Buccaneers, because, man, that was a good game for them. Brady, 21 for 29, 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. Fournette turns it up, man. He was 11 yards shy of the century mark. 1 TD, of course. He had 16 carries for 89 yards and 1 touchdown. Gronkowski, Tom Brady, and Gronk look like themselves of old playing for the New England Patriots, man. 6 receptions, 67 yards with 2 touchdowns for Gronkowski. Complete domination. The Buccaneers got down. In the first quarter, we have here 7-0, Tampa Bay leading it. Then at the half, Tampa Bay went off, y'all. They scored 2 more, added it on, 21-6 in the second quarter. Going on into the half, and then into the third quarter, they just got some more firepower. All the Chiefs could really do was kick 3 field goals in the entire game, but the Bucs just turned it on and took off, and that was it. Scoreless fourth quarter, 31-9 it was, and what a freaking game. The Buccaneers got down, completely outplayed the Chiefs, and overall, to anybody who thinks, it was boring or whatever, personally, y'all, it is what it is. To me, it's football, and football is great no matter what. But, once again, opinions are opinions. But overall, I just gotta tell you right now, that was a great football game, and yeah, I'm gonna be a little biased. I'm glad the Chiefs lost, Raider fan, haha. But, I'll tell you right now, it was just, from the Buccaneers, I'm telling you, we got to see some feel-good stories, okay? Ryan Jennings, of course, Ali Marpet, Stunny, I believe, I forgot his first name, Steiny, I forgot his first name, but the guard. But regardless, y'all, 3 guys from teams who just weren't D1, that played D2, D1 AA, D2, and D3, all started in that game. They won a ring. That was awesome. Tom Brady, at 43 years old, wins his 7th freaking Super Bowl ring. They had their parade, a boat parade, on Tuesday. Had a good old time. I'll tell you what. Overall, they played amazing. I mean, Antonio Brown, after an crazy off-season, season before and off-season and everything like that, signs, and he just makes things happen. Gronkowski, after so many back surgeries, comes back to play with his good old pal Tom, and comes out of retirement to play. Bruce Arians actually retired. His mother set him straight and says, "Nope, this is what you do. You need to go back and play. You need to go back and coach." And his wife was very supportive of him, and they were all for it. And he went back to coaching and got himself a ring. There's so many feel-good stories surrounding the Buccaneers, a team that didn't even win the NFC South this year. The Saints won that conference, and wouldn't you know it, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pulled this thing off and got it done. So overall, babe, your thoughts on this game?
I thought it was really good. I liked it. Seeing it from beginning to end was cool, and just understanding it more was good too. And just seeing them all play was cool.
It was a great game. Taryn here in the chat room says, as the Extra Mile crew once said, go fast, run hard, and come home first. Absolutely. From one of those previous drops we had on here. He says, on a side note, drinking a gallon of water is tough work.
That's for sure.
It is not. Stop it, you two.
I mean, I love water, but man, drinking a gallon is hard.
We talked about that, I think, last week. We talked about that. But it is good. I enjoy it. It's always fun. I got my gallon right here next to me that my baby just got me 2 days ago. I'm really excited for that. Actually, last night. So, really excited to drink out of this bottle. So, Taryn says, I didn't talk about the Super Bowl. Well, thank you, Taryn. I think he's probably one of the only podcasts who didn't. He says, Super Bowl was good, but it was underwhelming. The Chiefs were disappointing, but they had no tackles, dude. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, yes, they were shorthanded. Mahomes had turf toe, but at least they made the score respectable. And they did. The defense fought, but after a while, they just didn't hold up that wall no more. Taryn also says, I thought the Chiefs had the Chiefs 3-0 lead. So I thought the Chiefs led 3-0 early on. No, they did. They did. I'm just saying the end of the first quarter, man. That's all. Said no one could find the Chiefs offense on the side of a milk carton, and they couldn't. And of course, the Bucks 2 Super Bowl wins came against AFC West. That's right. If the Chargers somehow play the Bucks in a Super Bowl and face the Bucks, I should not get my hopes up. Oh, that's well, yeah, it's true, because the Raiders, of course, in 2003, and the Chiefs now in 2021. So yeah, crazy right there, right? Fun fact. But overall, I really thought the game was good. I enjoyed it. And you know what? To everybody, Fournette, of course, Leonard Fournette was playing in upstate Florida, in Duval County, of course, in Jacksonville. He gets traded for, I don't know what the heck happened in Jacksonville, but they got rid of him. He ended up going down to Tampa. I mean, it's just all line for this team. And so many great things happen. Wouldn't you know it? They just go team to win a Super Bowl stadium. That was cool. I mean, did it just kind of seem like a line for the Buccaneers, man?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, seemed like it.
I mean, all these cool things happened, and they just really made it happen. And it's such a great story for everybody. So, overall, I thought it was a pretty good game. And, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it, too, for the first time, actually, like... Oh, no.
Alright, we got it back. Sorry about that, guys. I had a little hiccup there. My 1,000-year-old computer. Sorry about that. But okay. Anyway, babe, what was that comment there? Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just basically saying that I enjoyed the game, with a new perspective of understanding it. And Super Bowl has a whole new meaning now, I guess. Because I'm actually watching the sport. And not just the commercials and the halftime show. I mean, all those are a plus too, but makes it all as well.
Absolutely, and
it was cool too to see a girl referee in the game.
That's right, y'all.
Or woman, I should say.
First ever woman referee. And in a Super Bowl, and what a job she did. She made some pretty good calls. Thomas, what do you think?
Yeah, I liked her, and she did really well.
She wore my number, by the way, on her back, 5'3". pretty cool, right? I say her number, but yeah, she did a good job, and she really worked well in this crew for the Super Bowl. I thought there were some BS calls I didn't care for
the
Chiefs.
Chiefs, right?
The Chiefs got screwed a little bit in that first half. I didn't care for some of those calls, and I will completely straight out say it. Cecilia will tell you the same thing. There were some calls that were terrible, and I was like, wow, guys. Like, he didn't even... There was one pass interference call that, seriously, he didn't even touch him. And they called it, but I don't know if they were her or not, but I'm not trying to say that she did a bad job. Maybe she called one of those bad ones or not, but I think as a crew, the referees kind of fudged up that second quarter. And kind of messed up with some of those calls. But overall, regardless, it's a Super Bowl. You should know no matter what, you got to battle everything, every bit of adversity, including, the other team, maybe the referees, and my goodness, if it's a cold day, possibly even the elements. So I'll tell you, that's what it's all cracked up to be. That's what it all comes down to is how tough you are and how good of a team you are to face adversity. And unfortunately, just nothing against the Chiefs, they're an amazing team, but they were shorthanded, as Terrence said, and Mahomes did have turf toe and a lot of things. But at the end of the day, just the day that shows up, and whoever's there, whoever wins it. Mm-hmm. So everything went well for the Buccaneers, and I thought it was pretty darn awesome, and we enjoyed it together. So
yeah, it was an overall good game.
It was a really good game, babe. So next for football, are you excited? We got a couple of weeks off, and in the coming weeks, of course, remember a couple of weeks ago where I was telling you about the Senior Bowl? Of all the college seniors who get to play in this one big game a couple weeks ago to kind of showcase their talent for the NFL? Well, that passed, of course, and in just 2 weeks now, we have the Combine, where a bunch of players who get selected, there's only 300, I believe, or 200 something, where they get to go out there in groups on certain days, televised at Lucas Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. And there's different days for different position groups, and they go out there and case their talent with just, no pads on, but get speed, and they get to test their 40, their bench, their vertical. They get to test all those things. And, that's the last look that they get from the transition from college into the draft, and then that is in the second to last week of February, or the last week of February, right around there, or sometimes actually into March, the first week of March, right around there. And then, of course, April comes, and we have the draft at the end of April, and that's where these players can be hand-selected by these teams. Then, of course, we go on into rookie training camp, which is usually sometime in the summer, as well as OTAs, sometimes late spring, early summer, midsummer, around there. And then, of course, late summer, we do have training camp, OTAs, of course, and then training camp starts in August, and the preseason starts, and the whole season begins all and over. And then, of course, kickoff is in September, and it all starts over again. So what do you think about football now, babe, after all of that?
I like it. It understanding it better has changed the way I see football now. Not that I ever thought bad about it. It's just because I never understood it until now, and I like it. It's brutal and intense and interesting, so yeah. It's a good sport.
I'm glad you like it, baby, because it is a fun one. I enjoy playing, of course. I can't wait for you to be there at my games, our games now, but I'm excited for it. And Terrence says here in the chat room, fun fact, the Chiefs now join teams such as the Raiders, Broncos, and Chargers who have lost the Super Bowl by 20 plus. Yes, unfortunately, they're in that club. And Terrence says, only a matter of time until the XFL relaunches again. Revival of Goal Line Stand. Oh, that's the show we had here for that show. Couldn't even really tried and just couldn't happen. But yeah, if that happens next season, I would love to have Goal Line Stand. And I don't know, maybe Cecilia and I could host that. That was fun, but yeah, that was a fun one. Goal Line Stand, of course, talking all kinds of XFL football, so we shall see how that goes. And of course, Taryn and I holding it down for college football, doing 3 and Out college edition. Sorry for everybody, it just got so mixed up this year and messed up, and everything was just so crappy. I mean, we're alive and well, that's what matters. But I'm just saying, overall, this was a tough year last year, and just everything got kind of messed up. But hopefully we get everything back on track this year, and we get all the shows going back, rotating, and all that and everything. But overall, I'm glad you like football, babe. Really, I'm glad we watched 5 weeks of it. You know, you gave your final thoughts on it last week. You talked all about it, and I'm glad that, you're actually enjoying the sport.
Yeah, me too.
And good stuff. Really exciting and fun. So, with that said, y'all, that's pretty much it, though. So, Daytona 500 coming on up. We just had the first week, and I think Cecilia does know a couple things about softball, right, babe?
I know a little about it. Not a lot, but yeah.
Well, of course, NCAA softball season just got underway yesterday. Men's baseball starts next week in college, so really excited for that. NCAA baseball and NCAA softball, so we're going to get some of that coming on up here on the show. We have, I'm not sure even what happened to wrestling this year. We'll see. That's coming up in March, the Nationals, if you will, the finals there. Or the championship. So we got that coming on up. Of course, we got soccer coming on up. Next week, the Champions League continues on. We'll talk about that in the defining moment next week. So all kinds of fun stuff coming up here on the show. Next week, of course, will be, by that time, oh my gosh, we'll have the Australian Open, actually. The finals will be coming on up, so we're still cheering on Serena. That goes. So that could be possibly on there. And we, of course, the great Serena Williams, we'll be talking there into that. And just so much more, y'all. We got that coming on up. My gosh, what else is coming on up? I know we got women's volleyball, of course. Taryn knows a little thing, too, about that. We'll be really soon. And there's plenty more sports coming on up here. March Madness, y'all. March Madness is going to be awesome. Coming on up this year. So, coming on up, we have... Taryn also said they'll have the FCS, CCCAA, NJCAA, and the NAIA College Edition will never die. Absolutely, Taryn. So we got plenty of that coming up. He says, and when does USC's softball team play? You know what, Taryn? We don't have a softball team. Oh, yeah, that's right. Taryn says, just kidding. USC does not have a softball team. Unfortunately, man, I know. I wish we did. That'd be cool to see the ladies of Troy get down on the diamond, but unfortunately they don't have one. But with that said, though, so plenty of sports coming on up. Next week, I don't know, babe, what sounds good to you? We got softball, baseball, tennis coming up, which should be pretty cool. And let's see here. As of right now, it's kind of really the only thing going on. So what sounds good for you to watch next week? What kind of movie you think you want to get into?
I don't know. I mean, they all sound very interesting. I guess I'll figure it out. Or we will.
We sure will, y'all. So, with that said, that's going to do it for tonight, y'all. We appreciate you so much for stopping by in our show. Sorry for a little bit of a late start, but man, it was a good show. Fun stuff, as always. And we appreciate the heck out of y'all for tuning in every week. Make sure to check us out, of course, right here on IE Sports Radio. Give us a follow at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. Of course, check us out. You can follow me, your boy Larry B, at THE_LB53 on Twitter. And, of course, check us out on all of our awesome shows here at iSportsRadio.com, and we appreciate you all so very much. So with that said, final touch on NASCAR for tonight. Of course, we started off, we get going on with the radio. We get that going on with NASCAR, of course, getting under Formula One, IndyCar, NHRA coming on up in within the next month. Superbike as well. And MotoGP, of course, motorcycles. And IMSA's already underway with the 24-hour race, of course. Talked about that already, babe, with the Rolex 24. But racing so far, what are you thinking? The racing season just getting going until November, babe. So what do you think of racing now that we kind of transitioned a little bit?
It's cool. It's interesting.
Well, let's see, y'all. Let's see if we can get Cecilia to be a racing fan by this year's end. We shall see. But Taryn also says beach volleyball is about to start soon, and men's volleyball is about to get into full swing pretty soon. Some men's teams are playing. So cool. Thanks for the tidbit of information there, Taryn. And Taryn says, once again, great show to both of us here. He says, you never disappoint. And once again, best part of Friday night, closing it out listening to you two. So we appreciate you, Taryn. With that said, thanks, buddy, and thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight, y'all. We appreciate you so much, and thank you again for being a part of this. So that said, you know what to do, y'all. Cue the music, because we're out of here. This has been quite the fun one here tonight, and we appreciate you guys so much for being a part of it and helping us out. Thank you so much for showing us love. We appreciate you guys, and well, there's nothing else to say but to get that exit in. So, babe, any final words for the listeners here tonight?
Thank you for listening. Take care, be safe, and stay healthy.
Please do, y'all. please do. You're on our prayers. We appreciate you all for being a part of this and listening. And every Friday night, catch us here. Thank you to Taryn in the chat room tonight and everybody who listened here on the live or on the podcast. We appreciate y'all. So with that said, we'll see y'all next week. Until then, take care. And as always, God bless.